All right, at the risk of putting the blessed God Florida State Seminoles on the thumbnail, it is week 0, and that means that we playing ball, y'all. Black hand side, black hand side. Football is fun because we gonna start playing football on Saturday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, noon for y'all on the East Coast, and some of y'all gonna still be in bed on the West Coast, but this one kicking off in Ireland. Still ain't quite figured that one out. The ACC got this fascination with Ireland and the other kind of football because they don't really be playing our kind of football like that out there. Although Kansas City Chiefs, they got themselves a rugby player out there. That man is nice. Like, Louis is nice. Y'all gonna figure it out because I played sevens in college. I follow along with some of the rugby in the Six Nations and whatnot. That dude got skills. I just hope he can hold up because we be playing with pads over here for a reason, dog. And it ain't because we soft. It's because we be hitting hard. I'm really fascinated with Florida State going into this season for a number of reasons, not the least of which is DJ Uiagalelei is starting quarterback at Florida State. And while we are here, yes, I can say that man's name. I've been able to say that man's name for 4 years. I know that y'all know that I got some problems with some of the folks' names, but I get there. Eventually, I get there. I keep on it. I stay on it. It's for real with me. Understand me. Now, I think we're going into a season in which DJ Uiagalelei is going to be for Florida State what Will Howard is at Ohio State, which is to say he might need to do a little bit more than Will Howard because they just loaded up there. It's like a college football ultimate team where some dude spent $1,000 on packs and shows up to champs to give you the beatdown. Like, if I see you show up in ultimate team with Quinshon Judkins, Myles Garrett, Lamar Jackson, and then I got to go work on the outside against dudes like Malik Neighbors. And on the back end, you got Caleb Downs. I know that Xavier Watts. I know you pay for this. What we doing out here, man? Your Jimmy's is better than my Joe's. I ain't got nothing to do with me being on the stick skills. And I understand there's some folks out there be like, well, if your stick skills was really nice, you could beat anybody with anybody. Nah, dog, the computer be cheating. I got to get y'all on this thing because you understand. You would understand. If you was on it, you would understand. But the thing that I want to know from Florida State going into this game against Georgia Tech is Florida State capable of making a statement to start the season 2024? Because I'm thinking about LSU last year, and that wasn't no statement, but, you know, still, they ran the table, right? I'm thinking about what we learned from this program and what Mike Norvell has really been about, and that's been building a winner. They're in the best spot they've been in since Jimbo Fisher had them on the way to the national championship. And that program felt like it was all in on winning it that year. This year doesn't feel like they're all in on winning it, but they certainly have a lot to show. Okay? You go 13-0, and then you get left out of college football playoff. Half your football team bolts, because that's what we do during bowl season now, and you get beat down 63-3, having a hard time just fielding the team because you had to put a bunch of walk-ons out there against the Georgia damn Bulldogs. I don't envy them. Then he went back into the portal, and he retooled, right? We talked about Uiagalelei. He added for it felt like half of Alabama's 2023 roster. Roydell Williams, I expect to get some shine. Fentrell Cypress is a dude out there on the corner, and y'all going to figure out that Patrick Payton is man-possessed out there on the edge. They got guys. They got dudes. I think Malik Benson is another dude out there that could be outstanding for them. What's going to be fascinating about this game against Georgia Tech is Georgia Tech ain't no easy win no more. Georgia Tech has moved into the we will fight back part of their journey. They out there speaking their truth. They won 7 games for the first time since 2018. The first time since, my good Paul Johnson. Paul Johnson, that they was this good. And they was running triple option with him. Only man I know that looked at triple option, saw Calvin Johnson, said, you know what? Whatever we doing, we throwing the ball to him. You know what I'm saying? Because it's Jimmy's versus Joe's and Megatron with Megatron. I want to see if you can win this game by double digits. I need you to put this game away. I need you to enforce your will running the football. And I need you to stop Georgia Tech running the football because that's their strength. Okay, you make Haynes King make some plays back there, then it can get out of hand real quick for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Brent Key has been doing a great job out there, but this is really about level setting for what I think is the number 5 team in the country and what the AP thinks is not, right? I think that some folks are underestimating what Florida State can and should be about in 2024, and that's just vengeance, dog. Straight up, it's vengeance. You left them out of a playoff that they were perfectly acceptable to be picked to play in. You did it because you don't have Jordan Travis, and then you don't like what you got behind him, like Tate Rodemaker, who's out at Southern Miss right now. I get all of that. But as we tell the kids over and over again, it's a team game. It's a team sport. You need more than one person to win. But y'all telling me you need that one person if you want to be in the college football playoff, which goes against everything that we teach in college football. And that is the reason they could feel aggrieved, and Mike Norvell ought to be absolutely raging going into 2024. But they got some hiccups going into ACC. Another week 0 matchup we're going to talk about here a little bit later in the show in Southern Methodist. But I'll start with this. I rank Florida State at number 5 in my Ultimate 134. And I'll rank Clemson at number 19, which is to say that I think those two programs have the best opportunity right now to make the college football playoff from the ACC. We'll talk about, again, SMU here in a bit. But FSU finished ranked number 10. AP ranked them number 10, and Clemson, they ranked at number 14. I just think that there's something there. I think that when I'm looking at Mike Norvell and I'm asking questions of his team, every single year they've answered the bell, right? Last year I was telling anybody that would listen, they ain't played nobody. I can't trust them. They ain't played nobody. But I'd also held fast to, if they beat everybody in their league, they need to be in the college football playoff because they will be undefeated. And that should have been the long and the short of it. But it's not the long and the short of it. And we're getting into the 12-team playoff, which means it would be really difficult it would be impossible to not include an undefeated Florida State in your selection. But let's not be coy about this. They are up against it because we already think that there's going to be at least 2 teams from the SEC and the Big Ten, maybe 3. And then the conference champ from the ACC. And then we're not sure, right? Then it's about how do we feel about that loser in the conference championship game versus the number 3 team in the SEC or in the Big Ten, which could be Michigan, could be Ole Miss, could be LSU. There's a lot to go up against, so I'm already starting them up at 5. I think between the guys that you've added and then a big game against Southern Methodist on September 28th, you have everything that you need to convince me. To say nothing of, you get past Georgia Tech, who is good, if not ranked, SMU, who is good, if not ranked right now, and then you beat Notre Dame on November 9th. Nobody's going to turn anything down but their collar when they play you, when they expect to put you in the college football playoff. Like, it's just going to be a foregone conclusion. I really want to see DJ Uiagalelei grow into the kind of player that I thought he was going to be coming out of high school, full stop. I think we got to see flashes of that guy in 2020 when he was the number 2 rated player in the entire country behind Bryce Young. And not only is Bryce Young playing the NFL right now, that dude won a Heisman Trophy. I think that ought to be where you are looking if you are DJ Uiagalelei. And quiet as it is kept, he ain't led nobody to no conference championship before. You know, that needs to change. You got to be able to take this Florida State football team and turn them into a monster that we all respect and fear for what happened to them last year. I can't say this enough. I know we're leaning into the feelings part of the schedule, but it mattered to me that they were left out. And spite is a hell of a drug. Spite will make sure that you get a lot done. Meanwhile, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, they got to know that this is coming. Now, I ranked them 53rd out in my 134, and that's when these kinds of rankings become useful. You get to see number 5 versus number 53 in the start comparison between that. But then I'm taking into account what their schedule is like, what league they play in, and what's going on around them. I think Haynes King, again, in that offensive line, they're going to be okay. That offensive line's got more than 100 starts as a group. 2 all-ACC players on it. We'll continue to think about what they may or may not be, but they finished really strong last year. After starting 2-3, they finished 7-6 with a win against Central Florida in the Gasparilla Bowl. I think that if you can go get a W against Florida State, we immediately start talking about you as a contender for the ACC championship, right? I think that even could vault them up into the top 25 because we're in week 0, and we're not going to see another ranking, at least from me, from the AP, until after Labor Day. But it would give us a lot to think about. And it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not out of the question. Northwestern shocked Nebraska in Dublin, right? Notre Dame ran Navy into the ground. It can go either way, is what I'm saying. We're here thinking about Morehouse, Spelman, Clark Atlanta, Morris Brown up the road. I can keep going on that one, but you get my point there. I've always thought that Georgia Tech should be one of the great college football programs in America because all you got to do is recruit Atlanta. But that ain't necessarily the way they've been going. Meanwhile, Rhett Lashley has made it his blessed God job to make Dallas and DFW get in on the good foot at Southern Methodist. And because he has, well, we got to talk about what they might be capable of and what kind of statement they might make in week 0-2 after this. Rhett Lashlee Southern Methodist is embarking on his journey as a Power 4 program for the first time. And there's a lot of excitement around the Southern Methodist program because they were damn good last year. They won the American. They had us thinking that they might be that squad in there getting into the New Year's Six Bowl. And then they reminded us that actually they didn't care because they lost to Boston College. That's not true, but still, you lost to Boston College. And I remember watching that game going, that ain't the Southern Methodist I know. I realized that Preston Stone was out for that, but, it ain't like Kevin Jennings. It ain't nobody. We learned that in November. That dude can sling it. And even now, we're talking about Preston Stone probably beginning the season as the number 1, but knowing how important it is to have a really good number 2, and both of those guys being Dallas area dudes. But it feels like Preston Stone, who got to announce that he was committing to Southern Methodist on NBC at an All-American Bowl when Sonny Dykes was still there, that's your talisman. That's your guy, right? And I think they can get behind that. And then when you look at some of the pieces he's got, Jalen Knighton, Kamar Wheaton, and Jordan Hudson, the offense is going to have what it needs. And Rhett Lashlee has been one of the favorites around here at Tulsa for some time. Like, it was touch and go there between whether or not it was going to be Philip Montgomery or Rhett Lashlee being the head coach at the University of Tulsa. Ends up working out just fine for Lashlee, who has since not only become head coach at Southern Methodist, done a damn good job, but he's brought De'Aaron King over from his time at Miami, and they've been a really good duo creating that quarterback room that is able to sustain. Well, that's sort of a loss, right? You still go 8-0 in the American, but I've got them ranked right now at number 32 in my Ultimate 134, for which I'm using to base a lot of these discussions that we're having, right? It strikes me that if they were not in the ACC, I would still probably have them ranked at 32 because their schedule, while difficult, doesn't change what I think about them. Like, the win total for them is 8. I'm willing to take the over on that. And one of those is because I expect them to stop a mud hole in Nevada and walk it dry. I don't mind telling you, Nevada is a 28.5 point underdog in this game for a damn good reason. But it also means that we expect Southern Methodist to make a statement by getting to your second string by the beginning of the third quarter at a minimum. You want to get guys as much of an opportunity as you can to play and to prove. And if you still got some battles, you want to take those things in before you figure out who you are, do that now, because you got Florida State on September 28th, and that game feels like the one that's going to define what your season is actually about. Because as I'm looking through the rest of their schedule, I'm going, okay, y'all got a lot here. But you know what? Southern Methodist fans are about it this year. Like, they have sold out season tickets. They are setting records for the amount of interest around that program. I mean, you got to take it back to the Pony Express with Eric Dickerson before the last time that we were really talking about Southern Methodist as a national player in college football. And there's not really a whole lot to show against Nevada, who I got ranked at 115th out of 134 teams. Jeff Coates, coached at Texas, also coached a team to the playoffs in Montana State 2019. I'm also looking at the guy he's got back there in Chuba Purdy. Yes, that is Brock Purdy's little brother and also a former Florida State Seminole. There's just a job there. It's a job. Like, it's rebuild right now. The over-under for them on the season is 2.5. It's hard to look at the Mountain West Conference and see them as a player in it. But, again, if you can come out with a W or you can show us some life, we probably feel better about moving you up in the discussion for your Mountain West Conference Championship. And one of the cool things about college football playoff is the highest ranked group of 5 champion is getting an automatic bid to the playoff. You can do that if you're Nevada. You just got to run the table, as if that's something simple to do. But this is going to be more about what SMU is capable of. This is going to be more about what SMU's ceiling might look like. So if they drop 65 on Nevada, we're still going to think about them the way that we think about them now, which is being a challenger in the ACC. But if they are in a 2-score game, Lord help them, a 1-score game in the fourth quarter, we're going to draw conclusions from that as well. I don't think that 12-team playoff has put that away. We're going to look at who you played and how you played them, and that's going to matter, right? And then we're talking about, playing Houston Christian before you get into the meat of your schedule with Brigham Young, my goodness, Texas Christian, and then you've got Florida State at the house before you go into the bulk of your ACC schedule with Louisville, Stanford, Duke, Pitt, BC, UVA, and Cal. So for me, it is, can you get to October 12th undefeated? Because if they get to October 12th undefeated, that means they beat BYU, Texas Christian, and Florida State and Louisville. And then the back end of your schedule is Stanford, Duke, Pitt, BC, UVA, and Cal. It's not impossible to think about Southern Methodist winning 11 games, winning 10 games in their first year in the ACC because they really like what they have. They understand who they are and what they're punching up against. And I really believe that with a 1,000-yard back, say Jalen Knighton gets to that as opposed to 745 last year, he's averaged 5.5 yards per carry. If Kamara Wheaton can add a little bit more to that, and if you can get some outstanding receiver play from guys like Jordan Hudson, sky's the limit for that program. It really is. They're in a very cool spot. I'm excited for Southern Methodist football. I really think that Southern Methodist football deserves its national stage. And frankly, it's brass. It is not a small thing to go into the ACC and go, we will forego the television revenue money because we know what this leap can mean for us over the next couple of years. So they're just got to hold up their end. They got to make sure that their alumni base of about 135,000 continues to kick in. They got to make sure that Gerald J. Ford is no longer the quiet place that it once was, that Florida State is going to feel you when they come to town. And I think that game, you sell it out. You sell out to go win that football game, and then you try to come back with whatever you got left to beat Louisville, and then you let it see where it goes, right? Try to have some drop-off. That's the thing. How deep are they going to be? Because that's going to be the question for everybody. How deep are you? Can you be that guy? Can you be the dude that is coming off the third string and contributing in a meaningful way? Like, I'm all in on what Southern Methodist can be, and I really, 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 really want them to be good. We'll find out for sure September 28th, but on week 0 versus Nevada, go drop 60 and then let everybody know what time it is now that Southern Methodist is in the ACC. All right, one more topic I want to discuss before we get out of here. It's got it related to Oklahoma, kind of related to Michigan, and it's about team mentality to finish the show. Be back after this. As I'm watching how some coaches are giving their message, I'm taking notes of what it is they're choosing to say and how much of it is coach speak and how much of it is speaking directly to the kind of program that you have inherited, that you were steward for. And as I have seen Jim Harbaugh and Sharon Moore pick up this mantra of team number, I've also seen Brent Venables do that at Oklahoma. Michigan is at team 145 because team 1 is 1879. Oklahoma is at team 130. And they talk about those as being markers for this season. Not last season, not the next season, but this season. Who are you? You have not done anything as team 130. If you're Oklahoma, team 129 won 10 games. You didn't win damn thing, right? If you are Michigan, team 144 won the national championship. You ain't done a damn thing. I think there is a lot to gain from doing that. A, you are reminding the players that the people that root for them know the history of this program backward, forward, upside down, sideways, flip it, diagonal. They got it. We got it. We know who we are. We go all the way back. At Oklahoma, we're coming up on 50 years. Coach Switzer won a national championship in 1974, right? We're going to celebrate that. The Selman brothers got a statue. We give Heisman statues to guys of the past that have won Heisman, and we got 7 of them. At Michigan, I feel the same is true, right? You got to take it all the way back. I realize that some of this is kind of turning your nose up, right? Because you're reminding people that we've been around for damn near 100 plus years. Not 100 plus, 130 and 145. But it is also what you are signing up for if you are one of these players. This will be one of the things to take into account as we continue to go through this thing of name, image, and likeness, as we continue to have an understanding of who's getting money and who's not, and where that money is going, what NIL collectives are doing. I think you're going to see Oklahoma and Michigan and the like lean into their past even more, pull on their tradition, pull on the heartstrings of their parents, of this time when you remember when, like, started the show talking about Florida State. Patrick Surtain is secondary coach of Florida State. I was watching Southern Miss in Hattiesburg. Patrick Surtain was running around making it happen, baby. And to say nothing of Pat Surtain II, one of the great cornerbacks in the NFL, one SEC Defensive Player of the Year at Alabama. You're going to pull on this stuff. You're going to find a way to relate. And I think as Michigan is trying to figure out who it is in the new Big Ten, and Oklahoma is going to show everybody who it is in the new SEC, we're going to see more of that. We're going to say, we're Oklahoma, or in their case, they're Michigan, and this is what we stand for. This is who we are. This is what we're about. The difference is you can do that without feeling as if you are alienating people. And I think that's the most important part. There are two ways of going about this, and I stole this from Cale Gundy, who's probably the greatest running backs coach that Oklahoma ever had, when he was recruiting Adrian Peterson. And it was basically between Oklahoma, A&M, and Texas for him. And he had left him with, you can come with us, or we can beat you anywhere else you're going to go. And that is the mantra. That was what Adrian Peterson was signing up for, because it turns out you don't just want to be the star of the team. You want to have teammates and a program that can put you on the good foot, not just for the NFL, but to win championships and major awards. It's difficult to do that at other programs. As I was thinking about this, one of the things that I underestimated when I first got this gig is just how many people are invested in the system as it is, and for what reason. So, if you are Michigan, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt as a top 25 team over, say, Southern Methodist, who we were just talking about. The same is true if you're Oklahoma against Boise State, right? To use someone that actually beat Oklahoma in a Fiesta Bowl. It's going to be like that. And knowing that, and knowing that's not likely to change in our lifetimes, I expect Michigan and Oklahoma to remind people, you wouldn't leave us out of this. You want to be a part of us. You want us in your sport. You want us to be driving your sport, because we are also the thing that the outside world knows the most about. And that's one of the reasons Colorado is upsetting the apple cart and probably going to do a show going into week 1 just about them and what they're doing. But it's quite simply, why are they getting all this attention at a time when they haven't won anything? And you have a team 130 and a team 145 are saying, look at what we have accomplished over the course of history. Look at how hard it is to find down years from us. Like for Oklahoma, first losing season since 1998 was 2022. You know, Michigan was dealing with getting beat by Ohio State, not necessarily anything else. They're winning 8, 9, 10 games most years that we don't have a plague. And then they found a way, and we could talk about the Connor Stallions thing, and we will, to make this happen. I think as I continue to think about Team 130 or Team 145, I'm going to lean into which program is doing that. Which program is reminding us all, this is who we are, this is what we stand for, and this is what we plan to be in the future. All right. Trying to pick up as many subscribers as we can on the race to 100,000. We are on course to get there sooner rather than later. If you like the show, please subscribe to the channel, and I will see y'all next time. Deuces.